Longhorn fans, Sooner Nation, welcome to episode 40 of the Bevo Podcast, the only podcast exclusively dedicated to covering the greatest rivalry in college football, the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma. Kevin, the man in black, and John Whitson are here to walk you through week 13, making a case for the greatest rivalry in college football, but falling just short. The University of Michigan and the University of Ohio State met yesterday, and Michigan beat them again and beat them soundly. Kevin, is Ohio State dead in the playoff race?
Oh, I think so, man. You know, having a late loss always hurts you. But when you lose like that game was not close. I mean, it was close in the first half. But in the second half, Michigan just flexed all over them. And to get that kind of win at Ohio State. I mean, first of all, it's a huge win for Michigan, and yeah, I think Ohio State's done.
5 touchdowns over 45 yards against Ohio State. 5 touchdown plays each over 45 yards. That's unbelievable against an Ohio State defense, let alone a Michigan offense, which hasn't been a world beater. I mean, they put 19 on Illinois last week. I mean, this is just fantastic. Yeah, exactly. It's unbelievable. It was Michigan.
Remember, Blake Corum, their running back.
That's what I was going to ask.
Star running back, Blake Corum, he had like one carry. Came in, had one carry, got out.
Is he back for the Big Ten championship?
I don't know. Do you even need him? the way they looked against Ohio State. Donovan Edwards, 200 yards rushing, and he was injured. He can barely hold the ball. He had that hand injury. He kept grabbing his hand after every run.
Does CJ Stroud, did he lose the Heisman?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep,
he lost the Heisman, and he lost the Heisman, Kevin, to Caleb Williams of the University of Southern California, who handled Notre Dame. I thought Notre Dame gave him a pretty good game. The problem was USC got up by 10, and then they just consistently stayed up by 10. Like,
right.
They never got up by more, and Notre Dame was never ever really able to close the gap. I thought Notre Dame gave him a good game, but Caleb Williams was too much. Some fateful mistakes by the Notre Dame quarterback. USC goes up against Utah now after Oregon goes down to Oregon State, which was a fantastic game, by the way.
Okay, did you see this? We talked about this a couple weeks ago when they lost to Washington and how they lost that game. Going for it on 4th down, deep in their own territory.
They went for it 3 times. 3 times against Oregon State. What are you doing? Learn your lesson. We talk about this on the Boomer Bevo podcast. Learning your lesson. Okay? They did not learn their lesson, and it came back to bite them again, and it cost them to go to the Pac-12 championship. I don't understand Oregon. I don't understand Landing. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he's a great coach. I mean, you got Oregon 9-2 in your first season, and you got the lead, and you're going. I mean, the game is tied, actually. No. They have the lead, right? Yeah, and they're going for it at their own 30-yard line on 4th down.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And then you run Bo Nix, who's not really healthy. He gets stuffed, and of course, Oregon State goes right down and scored. And they didn't even throw a pass on their last 6 possessions. They just ran right at them.
Dude,
every play.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it when it's. I mean, talk about a flex. When you can go up against a team and you're not some kind of quirky, quirky service academy or something like that, but you're literally just
you're not
saying,
running the triple option.
I'm running this ball right down your throat, and there's nothing you can do about it. I freaking love that kind of football. I really, really do. Everybody knows that. That listens.
Oregon was up 34-17 going into the 4th quarter, and they got outscored 21-3 in the 4th quarter. And again, all runs by Oregon State.
Yeah, they just got beat down. But let it be a lesson to every coach out there. Oregon State stayed committed to the run, and it didn't hurt them. It didn't. In fact, it helped them because Oregon wore down, and then when they gave it up, when they gave it up on downs, they just continued to wear down. That was fascinating.
They completed 6 passes.
They
completed 6 passes.
The Pac-12 championship game to me is the best game on the slate because it's a rematch. It's Utah's been playing a little bit better. I think, though, this favors USC. I think USC is going to be in a position to enact its revenge on Utah. And as much as it pains me to say it, they are going to make it into the college football playoff. What am I missing in this matchup?
It's all set up for them, right? And then they just handled their business. They had the one loss against Utah, which was a 1-point loss on the road in a crazy environment, right? And then Jordan Addison got injured in that game too, their best receiver. So this is all set up for USC to win the Pac-12. And again, huge flex for Lincoln Riley. This first year there, I don't think anybody expected that. I didn't. 11-1 with a 1-point loss, the only loss of the season that you can avenge, and get into the playoff, and your quarterback wins the Heisman Trophy. So, yeah, big time season for them.
Well, there is precedence for him in his first year as a head coach. I mean, he's seen this before. Let's see if Lincoln Riley learns his lesson, especially if he gets a matchup against Georgia. Does he go for it on 4th and 1 in overtime and go ahead and win the game? I guess we'll find out. I never thought I'd say this, but let's go Bulldogs if they end up playing them. Speaking of the SEC, Georgia wins. Georgia is in. We all knew that. Your Louisiana State Tigers choked one off against Texas A&M in embarrassing fashion. I don't even understand how that is even possible that you lose to A&M. Oh gosh, give me some sort of explanation for how LSU decides to just completely lay down against the Aggies.
Yeah, and it wasn't a fluke either, right? I mean, from the jump, A&M just jumped on them. And
who was the running back for A&M? Ashani?
A-Chain.
A-Chain.
Devin
My gosh,
A-Chain,
dude.
Yeah.
He ran all over LSU. LSU. They had no answer.
38 carries for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Every time
they're playing for pride too. They're playing for is pride.
Well, yeah, and you could say they were playing for pride 5 weeks ago, and they couldn't do anything about it against terrible teams. But you're playing for pride against LSU, and Brian Kelly. There's no reason to lose to A&M, and you had a chance. You had a chance with Ohio State going down, with Tennessee having gotten beat last week. You had a chance to somehow maybe with a win against Georgia slide into the playoff. I don't think they can slide into the playoff even with a win against Georgia. I don't think a 3-loss LSU team gets it.
No way.
No way, right?
So. No.
So that game is Saturday. The Pac-12 game's Friday. That's Saturday. Your Texas Longhorns, who took care of business on Black Friday against Baylor, had a chance to make the Big 12 championship game if K-State lost to Kansas, and it didn't happen. I thought it was a good game, but it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little too much. K-State, and look, they had something to play for, and you can see that. So it was a great performance by K-State. Again, Kansas gave it a go, but, it's quite a bit of a talent disparity there. So good job by K-State. And again, you can't put your fate into the hands of another team.
They will face TCU, who absolutely destroyed Iowa State.
Yeah.
The TCU K-State matchup was a really good game the first time around. This one's happening in Dallas on Saturday. You've got to favor TCU, especially the way they're playing right now. I saw Will Howard play. I haven't kept up with that quarterback situation. Is Adrian Martinez, is he done?
I'm not sure. I don't think he's hurt, but I think maybe they're just going with Howard. He was okay yesterday, 11-21, 213 yards and 2 touchdowns. But again, it's all about Deuce Vaughn when it comes to K-State.
Yes, but to be fair to Howard, the weather was really bad. And dude, I saw in the half dozen times I flipped over to that game, I saw like 3 or 4 drops. I mean, the rain was really coming down. They're going to be in a dome, Jerry's World. I don't know, man. TCU, it seems like every week looks more like the real deal instead of less like, it's like every week you start to say, man, these guys are good versus, they're holding on or they're barely. No, it's like, I guess you could say it was only 2 weeks ago they played Baylor, so I don't want to be completely prisoner of the moment.
No, that's 1 week, yeah, but yeah.
But yeah, you know what I mean? But I don't know, man. Every other team that went up against Iowa State, it was a dogfight. Except for TCU, you just roll them.
And listen, when there's a lot on the line here, it says a lot about a team to be able to rise up and get the job done, right? There's a lot of pressure, like that Baylor game. ton of pressure on them to not choke it away. And they got the job done. So, yeah, credit to them. I'm looking
So
forward to the game on Saturday.
one other note for the Boomer Bevo podcast: Tulane made the AAC conference, and they will host it. This is after weeks of myself bashing Tulane and how terrible they were and how dare they beat Kansas State at home and they're horrible. And when we get to the end of the season, they're going to be terrible. And K-State's going to look back on this loss and go, how did we lose to these guys? They are 10-2. They're hosting their conference championship for the first time. Congratulations to Tulane. I was wrong. They were right. Nice season, boys. Bring it home.
Great season. Central Florida next week for the AAC title.
Before we get into the Oklahoma and the Texas game, just a real quick peek ahead at the playoff. If everything holds form, Georgia, Michigan, TCU, USC, and probably in that order, which would be a Georgia USC matchup and a Michigan TCU matchup, just outside Ohio State, Bama, followed by Tennessee and even Penn State at 9. No, at 8. Penn State at 8. I think those are the only teams that have a chance. If Bama somehow to get in, and Ohio State, one team has to. If TCU loses, I think Ohio State can jump in.
Correct.
USC loses, I think Ohio State can jump in. It's going to take both. If both teams lose, I'm not sure Bama jumps TCU.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I mean, this committee loves Bama.
This has just not been a good. This has not been a good year for Bama, though. This is not.
I completely agree.
This is not a typical
Bama team.
No, it's not. I like Bryce Young. Of course, we all respect Saban, but this is the year where you just are like, okay, look, guys, you had your chance and you lost 2 games. Like, sorry, I can't imagine them jumping Ohio State. I got to tell you, just as a football fan, now that Oklahoma's out of it, I mean, they've been out of it, but with Oklahoma out of it, and just as a football fan cheering, I would love to see Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC. I think that's a great Final Four.
That'd be fun. Yeah, I agree.
I think it's a great Final Four. You've got it's weird to say this, but you'd have new blood with USC. Which is odd to say. And then TCU, they played really well. I think it would be a lot of fun. So that's what we're looking for in the top 25. Oklahoma loses to Texas Tech 51-48 in overtime. We'll break that down. And then Texas looks really good against Baylor in their final home game, in Bijan Robinson's final home game, 38-27. Rumors abound on Twitter that Quinn Ewers is not guaranteed the starter next year. We'll talk to Kevin Miller about that. Our final regular season standings as our picks go. Kevin went 20-21 a year.
You
really not that bad. 20-21. Not that bad.
Okay.
Not compared to 16-25. I think you did fantastic, my friend. Really, really good. But we will continue to pick games. Kevin and I are still working on our schedule for the bowl games, how we're going to do this. It kind of depends on when OU gets to play in a bowl game in Texas, and then we'll do something for the national championship, the playoffs and that sort of thing. So we'll still have some picks there for Kevin to have a final push to get over 500. But with only picking 3 games a week and only picking the OU, Texas, and a big game, I got to tell you, man, I think you've done pretty good this year. Not too bad.
I'm doing all right. I'm not bragging or anything, but I'm doing all right.
Speaking of people that are doing all right, are the clients that have hired Brown O'Haver. People will hire Brown O'Haver if they have had a loss to their home or their business. This is an insurance loss like a fire, a tornado, a flood, anything like that. Folks can hire Brown O'Haver, and Brown O'Haver will adjust the claim for them, not the insurance company. Routinely, Brown O'Haver gets their clients 30 to 40% more than they would on their own. We've talked about Southeastern Oklahoma. Jeffrey of the Brown O'Haver staff will be on site in Idabel, Oklahoma this upcoming week, taking care of clients that have signed up with us after that tornado. We're entering fire season, unfortunately, here in the state of Oklahoma as temperatures start to get a little cooler. But nationwide, Oklahoma is licensed. We can help out anywhere. And if we can't help, we can point you in the right direction. But please give Brown O'Haver a call, 405-735-5510, if you've had a loss and you need an insurance adjuster to adjust the claim for you. Kevin, Oklahoma travels to Lubbock. And basically, dude, it just encapsulates the entire season. I mean, it's been a maddening season. Oklahoma fan has had to adjust to an incredibly different reality than we've had over the last 8 years. Some might even say 20 years, where we're dealing with losses that are just inexplicable. We're 6-5, playing another 6-5 team in a crappy place like Lubbock. Like we saw last week, we get out to a really good lead. Offense is clicking, defense is clicking. Everything has the feeling of, well, maybe we just go ahead and beat Lubbock. I mean, maybe we go ahead and beat Tech and just take care of this and this game's over and everybody can go watch the USC game. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
By the second quarter, Levy's offense had gone stale. The defense had started to give up their typical plays that they've given up all year. And it became a shootout in the second half. If you're not an Oklahoma fan, I imagine that was a fun game to watch, going back and forth like that. Our receivers made plays that I hadn't seen all year long. Marvin Mims, the play behind the guy's back was fantastic. Theo Wees made competitive plays and a couple really.
The best game of his career, right? I mean, have we ever seen him play like that?
Who, Wees?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. He only had 3 receptions, but they were for 123 yards. Yeah. Braden Willis had 7 for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns.
You take that from your tight end all day.
Stoops, like it took 4 guys to drag Stoops down on one play to keep him from scoring. There were 4 guys. I don't know what Stoops weighs, but he can't be more than 5'10", 180, 185, 190. He can't be more than that.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, it was so much. So if you're outside looking in and you're watching a game for the game's sake, I think, and you realize like you can intellectually put yourself in the position that these were 2 6-5 teams and they're literally playing to play football, right? Yeah. If you can get yourself there, I think you could make the argument that this was a really good game. Unfortunately, I could not get myself there because I'm an Oklahoma Sooner fan, and I could not fathom the fact that we were losing in Lubbock again. Not that we lost in Lubbock, but I mean, again this year. And we outgained them offensively. Our quarterback went 28 for 40 for 449 yards and 6 touchdowns. Eric Gray ran for 161 yards. Look, middle of the second quarter, OU fan is going insane over Levy's offensive play calls. He got stagnant again. You know, we had talked about this all year, Kevin. You had talked about this since the summer, that his philosophy is hit him up the middle, hit him up the middle, hit him up the middle, deep ball. We hadn't seen it all year work. We had not seen it all year really, really work. Dude, he hit him up the middle, and then it was deep shot down the sidelines. Just deep shot after deep shot. And, dude, it was nice. And then inexplicably, he went away from it in the second quarter. Second quarter and third quarter, he goes away from it. And you're like, what is happening? Like, didn't he just see these great plays that our guys were making?
Yeah. You needed every point you can get against that offense.
You needed every point you could get. You had to hold serve. I think Mark Rogers put it out on Twitter that it reminded him of the Baker Mahomes without the superstars on both sides of the ball. Sure,
the same thing. I didn't see that tweet, but I thought it was the same type of game, just without the elite talent.
It was if such a thing exists, it was an old school Big 12 game. You know, just up and down, and you know. But I got to tell you, Kevin, it came down. We also won the turnover margin, so we outgained them. We won the turnover margin. We ran a fake field goal. Some people were upset. I was not one of these people that were upset.
Yeah, I wasn't either. No, I'm not a OU fan, but I wasn't upset about it.
The play was there. It was kind of an awkward. Yeah, it was an awkward pass, but it's going to be an awkward pass because it's coming from a punter. But but it was there. I think Braden Wills catches it. He might score.
Right.
I don't know. It's hard to get mad about that. You take it into the third quarter. We talked about this off air, but I want to spend just a second on this. This is what I don't understand about Levy or Venables for that matter in terms of game management. And this is on the offensive side of the ball. Eric Gray, around the 6-minute mark, runs for what looked like to me a first down. Like it looked like a first down to me. And very quickly they mark it 4th down. And very quickly after that, we run a crappy ass play. It gets stopped and we turn it over on downs. And for the life of me, Kevin, I don't understand why we're not asking for a measurement, why we're not asking for a review. Why are we in such a hurry to run a 4th down play on what is clearly at least debatable whether we got the first down or not? And what did I miss on that play?
No, I think you're spot on there. I thought they would have reviewed it, but you ran to the line so quick. I mean, as soon as they said he was short and marked it 4th down, you ran to the line. There was no time for the replay official to buzz down and say, hey, let's take a look at this because you ran the play so quick.
So you'll agree with me that they would have at least reviewed that, right? I think they would have. I don't think that's on the officials. I think that's on the OU coaching staff. Reviewed it.
Yeah,
or at least got
reviews.
Or at least got a measurement, right? Like at least measure the ball. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man.
OU prevented that review from happening with that tempo. That I felt was a little unnecessary.
Completely unnecessary. And that's been the problem with the tempo now all year when he there's times where we're running in tempo and it's like, okay, I dig it.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
And then there's other times when you're running tempo and what are you doing? Like this is what a dumb time to run tempo. We're not Texas Tech. Like I remember Mike Leach would run fast all the time, but you know what? That's Mike Leach. Do whatever you're going to do.
Yeah. Got to get your advantage somehow.
But I don't understand this, especially when you've got Eric Gray in the back. I mean, take some time, get a measurement, get Eric Gray some water, and go pick up the first down. It was all very odd. It was very odd.
It's frustrating, man, when you waste a guy's season like that. I talked to you about Texas when they had Deontay Foreman that year. He ran for 2,000 yards.
Seems real similar.
With this team. So, yeah, I mean, he's had an amazing season.
Yeah,
I mean, it's one of the best seasons we've had for OU football at running back. And then nobody will remember it at the end of the day because the team went 6-6. So it's unfortunate for him.
2 minutes
he
left.
He did make himself some money this year.
Yeah, he's got to go pro, right? I think he has to, doesn't he?
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so.
2 minutes left in the third quarter. Speaking of running backs, Javonte Barnes drops a seam pass that I think he scores on.
Great play design there, too.
Great play design, and it was a good throw. I mean, maybe it hit him on the back shoulder, but I don't care. That ball is very catchable. Javonte Barnes is an awkward-looking runner. And it's that awkwardness that maybe I think he'll probably grow into his body and grow into that athleticism. But he just kind of looks a little like he's on skates. And that's what he looked. It almost looked like he was running too fast. I know that sounds weird. But he drops that ball. That stalls that drive. This takes us all the way. We've gone back and forth. We've got a field goal. What did you think about the timeout to freeze the kicker at the end of regulation? And then we block the ball. We block it, but he didn't call timeout.
I think you ice him there. No, I think you should ice him there. I thought that was the right call.
I think it's a very easy thing to second guess, but I don't think it. I mean, come on.
Yeah, no.
And you don't know. And you don't know when that whistle was. You don't know when that whistle was blown on the field. If the offensive lineman kind of just let up because he heard the whistle blow. I don't know. I don't take any stock in that. But what about the trick play in overtime? I thought it was unnecessary.
I agree. But the damn thing worked. It worked. I mean, he got lit up.
First of all,
huge hit. Number 2,
I don't know who number 2 is. But remember now, number 2 is the boy that laid out Eric Gray. That kid. And yes.
Man.
And both of those tackles were incredibly legal and just jarring. And if we want to ever talk about going to play in the SEC, we've got to be ready for that. I don't know where that kid come from. Those are the 2 best tackles I've ever seen anybody from Texas Tech make. I mean, he chest up, lit those guys up, and it was all credit to that guy. But I guess I don't know. I like catching him off guard maybe. just think it's unnecessary. They haven't stopped you yet. And again, Eric Gray not touching the ball in overtime is frustrating to me. It's
that I do understand. I completely understand.
I mean, and even the Braden Willis Wildcat didn't really cost you any yards. I mean, you picked up 3 yards. So
yeah, I mean, and look, listen, I mean, anything is better than Davis Bevel throwing the football, right? I mean, we learned that in the Cotton Bowl.
Dude, I still don't even know why you ran Bevel out there as a decoy. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Just run the Wildcat with either Gray or Willis. So
there is significant disagreement on Oklahoma's side if the field goal at the end of the first overtime was good. I did not think it was good. I thought he missed it.
Neither did I. I thought he curled around from the outside.
I thought he missed it right, and I didn't even think it was close. I'm watching the game with my son and his friend. They both said it was good. Later, I find out that Twitter thinks it's good, or at least a good portion of Twitter. I don't know. I'm kind of that OU fan that's stodgy and old. That's like, if you put yourself in a position that you're kicking a field goal in the first overtime, you deserve to get beat. Like,
yeah,
like you deserve to lose.
And it looks like that. Eric Gray actually did get a carry in the overtime. It was 2nd and 8, and it was after the Wildcat run. It was a loss of 5, though. It put him back on the 15, and then Gabriel got sacked on 3rd down there.
Wow.
Leading to the field goal. But yeah, I thought the field goal was missed. I thought it started on the outside and curled around the outside of the post end.
Yeah, he missed it.
Behind it. Yeah. Very close, though. But again, we talked about these broadcasts, right? You guys have had some bad broadcasts this year. Where were the replays at? That's a big-time game, basically a game-losing field goal miss for OU. I don't even know if they replayed it one time. Usually get the underneath the goalpost replay that shows, just for a little bit of clarification there. We wouldn't be really having this discussion if they would have showed a few more replays on the broadcast.
6-5 versus 6-5 on a Saturday night up against USC Notre Dame. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
You're going to get the B team or the C team or whatever team we got. People were griping about. I'm done griping about the announcers. Again, we're getting who we get. That's the nature of 6-6 football. Is you're going to get crappy announcers at crappy times with crappy camera work. The first couple weeks, it was fun to gripe about it because we had never experienced it. But at this point, it's just like, whatever. I don't even care anymore. It is what it is. Man, play better. Like, stop going 7-5. Stop losing to West Virginia. Look, dude, you beat West Virginia, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech, and you just feel infinitely better.
Yeah, feel different. Yeah.
You feel infinitely better. And instead, you lost to West Virginia, who's not good. You lose to a Texas Tech team, and you lost to Texas Tech, but you know what I'm talking. They're not good. Like that doesn't mean that just because this is the first year they beat Texas and Oklahoma doesn't make them any good. It makes us not good.
And I've been saying this all season to you. Looking back at Texas' schedule, that's just the one game I can't make sense of. The Oklahoma State loss was frustrating, but I get it. But man, that game, it just doesn't make any sense still.
Well, I would like to say that we had a lot of games that don't make sense, but the problem is in totality, and we're going to have a season recap and we'll break it all down, but in totality, they all make sense. We didn't even talk about the defense because it just made me so mad. But when you can't keep a non-running quarterback from running the ball and picking up first downs, I don't know what else there is to do. I mean, my God, Texas Tech, they picked up 5 or 6 yards on every run play, it seemed like, in the second half. And their quarterback, it was just bad defense. It was bad defense. Our offense made a lot of weird decisions, and you can go to Levy or what. It doesn't matter, dude. Dylan Gabriel threw for 6 touchdowns. Marvin Mims played out of his mind. Eric Gray ran for 160 yards. It is not on the offense. It is absolutely not on the offense. You cannot let a team score 51 or 48 in regulation, 51 overall, and expect to win when you're not any good.
Yeah, I mean, 672 yards of offense, man. I mean,
yeah.
It's only have 1 turnover. But again,
I'm just telling you
the entire season.
Thank you. Microcosm of the entire season, emblematic of the entire 2022 effort. that when you needed complementary football, you simply didn't get it. And it yo-yoed between both sides of the ball the entire conference play. And just when we thought the defense was playing better, just when we thought the defense was, oh man, Riddle's figuring it out. We're starting to see it. I mean, we raved about him.
The game good too, right? This
season,
I mean, or even in this game, you're up 24-6.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So Oklahoma is destined to play in a crappy bowl game against a crappy opponent, where we will probably have opt-out after opt-out after opt-out, only to lose and be the laughing stock and be at 6-7. That is the doom and gloom, and unfortunately, I think it's the truth. But we will wait to see where Oklahoma goes and plays. First, not to take this doom and gloom and ruin Texas's parade, but Texas, for the second week in a row, looked like a good, complete football team. Kevin, what happened against Baylor, and where the heck has that been all year?
It's interesting, right? Because you see the beginning of the game, they start off bad. They have the safety, Quinn Ewers. They bring a blitz there. He's in the end zone. He just throws it away to the right side of the field where there's nobody there. Straight up 2 points for Baylor. Then they get the ball back. It's a short kickoff after the safety. Then they hit a big play. So just like that, Baylor's up 9-0. And it's not looking good at all. But hey, I give them credit. They bounced back. You went right down the field, scored a touchdown to make it 9-7. They unleashed Bijan. We got another touchdown. So in the first quarter, started off being down 9-0, and then you're 14-9 up after the first quarter. But it was a tough game, man, back and forth. But I give them credit. They actually played better in the second half. We talked about them. They're usually a first half team, but they came out. They outscored Baylor 21-8 in the second half, and he just got the job done. And man, number 5, what can you say about him? He's had a great season. He's had a great career, man. So, and again, just one of his best performances of his career.
179 yards, and just really, really good. Ewers, though, still with the question marks with Quinn Ewers.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, the question marks are there.
Is he your game 1 starter next season?
I mean, I think he is. But now what he's done is he's made it a competition, which I don't think anybody expected or even wanted to see. The Manning family has been very clear about being 100% content with Arch redshirting and taking his time. But now, if Quinn Ewers does not elevate his game tremendously during this offseason, you're going to have a competition at the beginning of the season.
What's funny about that is Oklahoma fan thinks that somehow Jackson Arnold is going to make a difference for OU. And I think Jackson Arnold's fantastic. But is he going to go into Lubbock and throw more than 6 touchdowns?
Yeah, exactly.
Is he going to go into Lubbock and throw more than 449 yards and put balls in the hands of Mims? And so for Texas fan, it kind of makes sense to me that there's a quarterback battle, because I think if you look back now at Texas's season, he is the guy that's held you back in a lot of ways.
100%.
I can't think of a game that he went and won it for you. Maybe
not at all.
Because even OU, it was very controlled. We talked about that a lot. A controlled, everything underneath, took what they could give you, blah, blah, blah.
And listen, that OU game plan, I think that game plan was made and practiced the whole season.
Yeah.
That's why he looked so comfortable in that game.
Yeah. So, but I still get it. Like that. I mean, I still get it that that's an issue. That is he the starter? What are we going to see in the bowl game? That sort of thing. All those questions. For Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold ain't going to come play defense for us. And I think that's our problem.
Correct. And I don't think you don't want to throw that kid out there before he's ready.
Well, I don't think
quarterback has not been your biggest issue at all.
And I don't think you want to, but unfortunately, though, I don't think you want to throw Archie out there. I don't think you want a true freshman.
Oh, no, we don't know. Again, the Manning family, they would prefer Arch to redshirt, and so would I. Yeah, I don't want Arch out there being the starter week 1. I'd rather not see that for the team and for him.
Who is Bijan going to play in the bowl game?
I doubt it. There's been no announcement. He hasn't said anything.
Okay,
I
so
don't think so.
let's assume he doesn't play in the bowl game. Is Roschon Johnson? What year is he? Is he your starting running back? So he's gone too.
He's gone too.
Does he have eligibility though? Because we're kind of in that weird COVID where he could have eligibility.
I think he does have the COVID year, but I don't expect him to be back. He walked during senior day.
Okay.
Yesterday, on Friday rather.
So then, who plays running back for you guys in the bowl game, and who's your projected starter?
Well, I mean, Roschon Johnson might play in the bowl game, right? It wouldn't surprise me if he did. And if not, we have Jonathan Brooks, Bijan Robinson, and then Jaden Blue, who's a true freshman. Jonathan Brooks is buried on the depth chart, but he's a talented guy. He played late in the Kansas State game. I think he rushed for 100 yards. I'm sorry, the Kansas game. He came in after because Bijan was so good. He was out by the beginning of the third quarter. He came in. He rushed for 100 yards. So he's a talented guy. Jaden Blue is a talented true freshman. So, and these guys are going to be our starting running backs next year. So, I mean, get them out there. Let them get some experience.
I'm looking this up right now. I should have had this pulled up. But where do you think y'all are playing in the bowl? What bowl game do you think you're playing in?
You know, I think it's going to end up being the Alamo Bowl again, which I'd rather not play there, but I think that's just how it's going to end up falling.
They're showing Alamo Bowl against Utah.
That would make sense.
CBS projection. And then Oklahoma versus Maryland in Phoenix. Interesting.
Oh, the Cheez-It Bowl?
No, Guaranteed Rate Bowl.
Okay.
No, the Cheez-It's in Orlando, which would be North Carolina, Texas Tech.
Okay.
Yeah. Man, I tell you what. I might actually be going to watch. As of right now, I'm scheduled to go to Phoenix after Christmas. I might be going to watch a bowl game. You know, I've never been to an Oklahoma bowl game. Never been to an Oklahoma bowl game.
I've only been to one Texas one. It was in the Alamo Bowl. They played against Iowa. Iowa had Drew Tate as their quarterback back then.
How long ago was that?
That was 2000 after the 2006 season. Colt McCoy's freshman year.
I went to like an Iowa. I don't even know who the matchup was. It was like the first year of the Alamo Bowl, though. I was there at the Alamo Dome first year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wait, which was 95, maybe 96,
something like that. Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, I went to the first. I went to
Square Alamo Bowl.
Yeah, I went to the very first Alamo Bowl, and it was fun. But yeah, I've never been to an Oklahoma bowl game, and if they go to Phoenix and I'm already there, I mean, I think I got to go, right? Right. Got to represent the BVP. Folks, we'll bring some merch. I'll sign merch for everybody.
There you go, man. See, yeah, you can get a credential, man. Maybe get a sideline.
Dude, the Alamo Bowl is not a win, though, right? You're not feeling great about getting to go to Alamo Bowl, are you?
No. And just because they've been there so often, you know, the last two bowl games I think have been there. When Herman.
The problem is there's not another good bowl tie-in for the. There's not a good bowl tie. I guess K-State gets to go to Sugar.
Yeah, they'll go to the Sugar Bowl if TCU wins, they go to the playoff, which means K-State will go to the Sugar Bowl, which means the Alamo Bowl is third. So they'll take Texas because they, you know. So yeah, I'd rather go to Phoenix or Orlando for the trip, but it's just the way it lines up.
Projected for other Big 12 schools. Texas Tech and North Carolina in the Cheez-It Bowl, Oklahoma State versus Kentucky in the Texas Bowl, Baylor versus Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl. That'd be fun. Kansas versus BYU in the First Responder Bowl in Dallas. I really hope we don't get that one. I hope that this bowl projection is correct. I would hate to play in Dallas, the First Responder Bowl.
Yeah, when was that list made? Was that today's? Was that from today?
I hope so. I really hope so.
Because hopefully they're not using
Jerry Palm's projections. It's got Georgia playing SC and Michigan playing TCU. Yeah, so it would have had to be made after yesterday, right? Or last night.
Yeah.
TCU and Michigan, the Fiesta, the Peach Bowl. Think about this: Georgia in the Peach Bowl. I got to tell you.
Right.
I'm not a USC fan, but to me that just it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem right that you Georgia would get to play in the Peach Bowl. LSU gets to play in the Sugar Bowl. It'd be like it's not even the same as Oklahoma in the Cotton Bowl. That's 3 hours away. They're literally 45 minutes away from Atlanta.
Correct.
I don't know. That's classic bowl, whatever.
Well, hey, listen, the game, it's not like the game was scheduled to be there long in advance, right? Years in advance. So
yeah, but it seems like it always works out that way for the SEC though, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So man, Rose Bowl, looks like, at least as of right now, Ohio State against Washington. Okay.
That'd be fun.
It would be. But are we sure that Stroud even plays in it? I'm curious. If he's going to be a top 5 pick in the draft, does he play in the Rose? I think he should, but because he's a quarterback, right? He's less likely to get injured, but you never know.
Caleb Williams is a true sophomore, correct? I mean, he was a true sophomore, so he's got another year. Wow.
Yeah, he'll be at USC next year.
Who else is going to? Does Bijan have any chance of going to New York, or is the team just not good enough?
I haven't heard anything about it, so I'm not expecting it. It would be cool if he did. I think he deserves to, but I mean, 8-4.
I mean, really, at this point, it's a 2-player race, and one of them sitting out this weekend. All Caleb Williams can do is improve his chances. And listen, dude, the media wants to give it to him. ESPN wants him to have it. It's a tremendous.
Yeah.
And look, say what you want about Caleb Williams, dude. The stats are there. He's a stud this year. He's had a great year.
And man, his ability to escape pressure. I mean, there's no one better than that. Him and Bryce Young are the only guys who can escape those kind of things that he gets out of. Man, we saw it yesterday. I was having PTSD from the Cotton Bowl last year.
Besides Bryce Young getting an invite as a former Heisman winner, does he get an invite? You think he's there as a top 3 or 4 candidate?
Yeah, they'll probably bring him back. There's no sense of just having 2 guys there, so I think they'll bring him. Yeah,
I don't know. I loved it when Oklahoma fan got to enjoy watching that. Every year it was a lot of fun there for about it was a lot of fun for about 4 or 5 years.
Oh, really? I mean, you guys have had so many over the last 20 years.
Oh, I know. It's been.
We've had finalists, Colt McCoy twice, and then Vince Young in 2005. That's really it.
I think 2 more wins
in 2008 and 2009.
I think 2 more wins and Bijan would have been a finalist.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if they're 10-2 right now.
They're 10-2 playing in the Big 12 championship against undefeated TCU. He's playing to go to New York, I think. But
he's had a great season, man. Let me pull up his stats real quick. Hold on.
I don't know.
1,580 yards and 18 touchdowns.
Yeah, well, the Sarkisian's the reason he didn't get 2,000 yards.
I agree. Yeah, especially that TCU game plan.
Especially the TCU game plan. He should have had. Well, I mean, not to even be funny, but he should have broke another 100 yards against TCU. He should have just broken it. He should be at 1,600 yards. They might not have beat TCU, but he should have had 25 to 30 carries against TCU. The way that game was. All right, man. Well, hey, I think this weekend was fantastic, except for OU losing and sucking. But as far as Texas getting a win, finishing, it's kind of weird with Texas, right? Though finishing where everybody thought you would finish, like
not everybody. I guess some of us had us picked to go 5-7.
That's right. This guy right here, and it could have happened. It never could have happened. In fact, it should have gone 10-2. But for every Texas fan who reasonably picked the games, everybody picked 8-4, and now everybody's. It's kind of weird to go, are we happy or not? I don't know. Maybe you're happy. What do you think?
No. You're content. I'm content, right? But no, I'm a little disappointed because it easily could have gone 10-2. Everything lined up for them this year, right? OU being down. It was just there. Oklahoma State wasn't great either.
Yeah.
Baylor. Because if you look at the preseason predictions, everybody had Baylor, OU, Oklahoma State, and then Texas. Some people had Texas finishing 3rd, right?
Yeah.
but it was all Baylor, OU, Oklahoma State, or Texas. And all three of those teams were down. All three of them. And you couldn't take full advantage of it if you're Texas. So to that aspect, the season ends up being a disappointment.
Well, the Boomer Bevo podcast will be back next week following the bowl games. Following the conference championship games. We'll break down all of the conference championship games. And we might sneak another episode in there, depending on what we know about when the bowls are what bowls are going to get assigned. We will just continue to play it by ear. But as far as the regular season goes, Kevin, for the Boomer Bevo podcast, this is our first ever regular season, and I thought it's gone incredibly well. I just wish our teams would have done better. But in terms of broadcast excellence, I don't know, dude. I think we're top 3, top 4 ever podcast. Yeah. So all genres, including true crime. So in any case, everybody out there, have a great week. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, like, and look forward to hearing us next week. Kevin, Boomer.
Took him.